Congratulations, you're already winners. What do I mean by that? If you were born in the 40s, 50s, 60s, or 70s, and you've survived this far, you are already a winner, or at least a survivor. I'd like you to briefly consider the toys we played with, where we played, and the games we played are considered outlawed, banned, and illegal by most of today's standards. Places we played, most of us played in the street. It was no big deal. Only a couple of us ever got hit. My personal favorite place to play was an open-air junkyard up the hill from my grandfather's house in Aberdeen, North Carolina. I mean, it was a tetanus shot waiting to happen, sure. But how cool was it to get on the hood of a car and slide down the other side of that hill toward US Highway 1? And nobody thought a thing about it. Toys. Little girls, let me ask you, easy bake oven equals 3rd-degree burn. They survived.
Yeah, but I was before easy bake oven. Have you got something older than that?
We can work on it. Maybe some of you gentlemen remember, and ladies too, remember lawn darts.
Yes.
Creative children knew how to play with those, and it wasn't put it in the ring, it was put it through your brother's foot. Right? And some of the games, dodgeball, gone. Red Rover, gone. King of the Hill, gone. Everything's been outlawed in schools. We don't play those games anymore. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. I'm here to tell you why the men of Moore County, North Carolina, still hate my father even after 40 years. See, according to them, my dad stole, verily raped the city's lake of the prize walleye named El Diablo. Now, walleyes in that part of North Carolina can live almost 22 years and can go from 15 to 18 pounds. Now, that would be pretty normal for a fish, but El Diablo was a little bit different. Maybe you've ever heard the story of Peter Parker becoming Spider-Man. He got bit by a radioactive spider. Something like very similar. There was a chemical spill on the Aberdeen and Rockfish Railroad about 20 years beforehand and dumped chemicals that went into the tributaries of Lake Aberdeen. They estimated at that time that little El Diablo was just a little guppy of a thing. But it gave him superficial powers. And it said as an adult fish, if he didn't break your fishing line, he could drag you across the lake at 12 knots. Also gave him one red eye. And if fishermen ever made contact with this fish and they saw the one red eye, they'd be completely mesmerized. Then the fish could break all their fishing lines and steal all their beer. Many a man had come back from Aberdeen Lake and his wife would ask him, "Honey, you got no beer and you got no fish?" "Ma, was El Diablo." "Okay, I buy that." So it went on for years. Now, one of the biggest times of the year was the Moore County Fishing Derby and Homecoming. I want you to go back a long time ago. I was 5 at the time. This was the summer of love, 1969. This was the time of Woodstock. Some of you remember it well. Okay, don't be looking at me like I was 5, but some of you might have remembered it a little bit better than I do. Every man in my family was at the fishing derby, save one. My cousin Ivan, age 15. Ivan was in some trouble with the family. See, Ivan had tried to hitchhike from North Carolina up to New York State to see the Woodstock Music Festival. He got as far as the county line. The police brought him back to the house. Boom. He was on double secret probation for the rest of the summer. Terrible stuff. So his mom and dad had farmed him out to anybody who needed cheap or free labor. So the day that came for the Saturday of the fishing derby, Ivan was with me up in the junkyard. My dad and his dad, my Uncle Max, were down at the fishing derby. Now, in there was all kind of great stuff to play with. We could break windshields, and we could throw hubcaps at each other like frisbees. And I went up and he found a John Deere tractor tire. This wasn't just any John Deere tractor tire. Any of you guys farmers? Any farmers out here? It's an old, antique John Deere Model 830 tractor tire. They're about 7 feet in diameter. Ivan, with his sinewy muscles, pulls it up, uprights it. Hey, Dad, you hop in here, man. You pretend like you're Richard Petty on number 43, man. Give us a way through. Come on, give us a way through. Victor all. I hop in the tire. I'm feeling great. This is marvelous. My cousin, the sinewy and tall 15-year-old Ivan, has got me a toy to play in. Now, you did hear me say that the other side of this thing is a hill bearing down on US 1, right? And just farther beyond that is Aberdeen Lake. Ivan, tired, decides to wipe his manly brow, lets go of the tire, and it starts to roll. Slowly, then quicker and quicker and quicker. It's like a deranged hamster on a wheel that can't get up. And Ivan, help me! It was at that point in time that I realized that my dear cousin could speak foreign languages, because he was saying stuff I had never heard before. Now, if it couldn't get worse, on US Highway 1, coming from the north, back down to the south, was a microbus filled with hippies coming back from the Woodstock Music Festival. The complete inside of it was covered in smoke from medicinal herbs. Unfortunately, this was as close as my cousin Ivan was ever going to get to Woodstock. It was bearing down on a perpendicular path with the tire. I am going faster and faster the whole time. My head is being jumped around like a bobblehead doll. We think it's the end of the world. The tire hits the side of the road, propels itself up into the air. It's hit perpendicularly by the microbus. The hippies inside think one of two things has happened. They've been hit by a low-flying UFO, or the Russians have launched an attack. They immediately swerve the van over into the grass of the First Baptist Church of Aberdeen, North Carolina. Thinking that their lives have been spared for a greater purpose, they get out, make a profession of faith, and are baptized in the church the next day. However, I am propelled toward Aberdeen Lake, down the pierway. It's starting to slow down. I want to throw up like you have no idea, but I'm almost halfway out of the tire, and kersploosh. The John Deere 830 tractor tire hits the water. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen one of these. 7 feet tall. It displaces about 250 cubic gallons of water if you were to fill it up. And all of a sudden, when that tire hit the bottom of the lake, it had a sucking sound like this. Everything was being sucked into that tire. Small frogs, pond scum, parts of the Eben Fitzgerald. I'm seeing my little 5-year-old life flash before my eyes. My grandma's pecan pie and pound cake, teddy bears, potty training. And then I look in the tire with me. El Diablo, with one red eye. He had been hiding underneath the pier where it was nice and cool from the August heat. And now he was in there with me. Now I can remember what my Uncle Max and my dad said was going to happen next. He was going to break my fishing lines and steal my ears. Horrible, horrible fate for a 5-year-old. When all of a sudden, I could hear, "Hey, he's right over here." It was my dad and my Uncle Max. They were plodding through the lake, coming down the pier. They figured with that much noise it had to be one of their relatives. My dad uprights the tire. He looks at me. He looks at El Diablo. He looks at El Diablo. He looks at me. He looks at Uncle Max. "Max, you get the boy, I got the net." Boom. 15 minutes later, photographers and newspapermen from the Sand Hill Citizen, the paper there in Moore County, are taking my dad's photograph beside my Uncle Max, holding the Grand Marshal and the prize trophy from the fishing derby. The men of Moore County are scowling, looking behind them. But my dad did one on a technicality. In a fishing derby, you can use a net to remove the fish from the water. But they hated it even more Because my dad personifies an old saying about fishing that they hated. You give a man a fish, and he will eat for but one day. You teach a man to fish, and he'll never get tired. Harry, where are you at? Save me, buddy.
I'm right here. I'm right here.